Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm questioning everything because I thought I had an answer to a question and I made a whole video getting to that answer, and the comments have once again made me doubt everything, and I've just come to the conclusion that I have to science harder. And the question is, does trailing aerodynamics matter on land, or in air rather, in Trailmakers? Because it is without a doubt very important for underwater vehicles, but is it important for land vehicles? 2 days ago, I thought I knew the answer, and I thought the answer was no. Then I got some comments saying it is a thing now, so I'm like, okay, let's test it. And my test results made me think yes, but now since I made that video, I've had comments saying that it wasn't the trailing arrow that made this vehicle faster. It was the weight change that the arrow added. Not only did the comments say that, Mockhaven, who I recorded with, who is a speedster in this game, also came to a similar conclusion. But then I've also had comments saying that trailing arrow is definitely most obviously a thing, and that they're glad I figured it out because they have vehicles that are completely dependent on trailing aerodynamics in the air. So there's a lot of confidence on both sides, and I will admit that this test right here, it doesn't control all variables. So my goal in this video is to just science much harder and really try to control every single variable. Because what you see here is a vehicle that caps out at about 215 kilometers an hour with these trailing aerodynamic blocks on it. Let's see what happens if I delete these. Now, keep in mind, I'm also deleting some weight. Okay, apparently this vehicle doesn't work without the trailing aerodynamics. Hold on, let's just get up to speed. There we go. And now it is the exact same speed. So I think this is a different vehicle than I used in my testing. I think I just built this vehicle for the thumbnail. But this vehicle kind of disproves the method. But I mean, it doesn't disprove it. It lends evidence to there not being an effective trailing arrow, which is interesting because we also did change the weight of the vehicle. So it could still, this test could still stand that there is a trailing arrow effect, because making the vehicle lighter could have made it faster, but losing the trailing arrow could have made it slower, canceling out to the same speed. That could also be a potential explanation of those results. But let's try something here. Let's make a one engine vehicle. We're gonna make it a little bit longer for stability. All right, we're gonna put this in front. Let's activate our aerodynamics, and let's take a look at the rear arrow. So we got these three arrows. We also got these arrows down here. I'm just gonna focus on these three arrows for the back. These three sets of arrows rather. And let me see if I can replicate the results of the last video with this vehicle. So this vehicle caps out at 162 to 3. We can't really get over into 163. But let's also do a couple of tests. I'm gonna go ahead and respawn and see if we get the same results, because I've also seen, I think Mockhaven also said that he's gotten different results with the same exact vehicle. So that's a factor. So we were like right on the verge of 163. And it looks like we are pretty much in the same exact spot. We're like 162, and you can see it's flashing over occasionally to 163. But let's do one more test. And, you know, I'm just gonna go in a different direction too. See if we can get the same results with different directions. Oh, now let's see, look at that. If I had put arrow on this thing and got this result, I would have thought, obviously, we got an improvement. So I don't know what that's all about. So that's 166. Is it the direction I'm facing? Let's go in this direction. All right, now we're gonna be at 162 again, aren't we? Yep. All right, I am very confused where the 166 came from. Let's face this direction. All right, we've gotten 162 like 4 or 5 times and 166 once. I'm gonna say that 166 was an outlier fluke and remove it from the data pool as not an accurate representation of the vehicle. It's been consistent at 162 otherwise. So if we do get a result of 166 after adding the aerodynamics, I'll just do more and see if because it's probably just that thing happening again, whatever happened there. All right, so now I'm going to add these aerodynamics, and I know that this is not controlling all variables because we're adding 6 blocks of weight as well, but I have a plan for that. I just want to see, do we get another effect? Would this have fooled me again? And look, this is going past 166. This is getting up to 170. So this really makes me feel like this is very convincing that the trailing arrow makes a difference. We're not eliminating the variable that the weight is a factor. But let me see if I can, that was like what, 170, 170? Let me try to compare and, or get multiple samples and see if we get similar results. All right, 170 again. Did we get above 170? Well, this one is not getting above 170. All right, let's respawn and do one more. If we can get 3 170s in a row, I'm going to say that that is the speed of this vehicle. Okay, 170 once again. Okay, so now there's 2 variables here that I'm going to try to control. Oh, wait, this is easy. I just flip these around. So I think this controls all the variables, because if we look at our aerodynamics, we're back to red arrows. So this removes all of that aerodynamic efficiency, but keeps the weight added and the center of mass identical, because those are 2 variables that changed when we added the wedges, was we moved our center of mass and we changed our total weight. So if this is 170, I think our speed difference can be explained more by the mass and center of mass than by trailing arrow. Here we go. All right, look at that. 170 with bad trailing arrow. Now, what if for some reason these aerodynamic blocks are just tricking the game into thinking there's arrow here? This weighs 0.6 kilograms and it takes up a 4x1 area. So the question is, can we get an equivalent? This is 0.62 kilograms and takes up the same amount of space. That's like, that might be the closest we can get. Oh, wait, hold on. This is 0.62 kilograms. Oh, they are the same. All right, this is definitely, I think, a fair test. Because look, these take up the same exact hitbox and they have the same exact weight, but they have different aerodynamics. So if this gets the same exact results, I think we probably have an answer. But I do want to, there's some further testing I'm planning after this. And look at what we have here. 170 kilometers an hour. My opinion is changing with new evidence. Once again, back to the original opinion I had, which was that trailing arrow doesn't matter in the air. I've done 2 videos of testing only to agree with where I started, which is fine. That's what experimenting and testing is all about. You know, I had the hypothesis that trailing arrow didn't matter. I thought I had disproved my own hypothesis and had the new belief that trailing arrow did matter, and now have continued to disprove once again that belief and return to form. But I gotta try something else. We're dealing a lot with like friction variables and tires and stuff, and although it should be consistent between tests, it's not the most consistent thing in Trailmakers. The most consistent thing I can think of is gravity, like just falling. So I think using this method here of replacing trailing arrow with wedges versus these grid blocks, will it make a difference on the terminal velocity of a falling object? Because some comments I've seen was that their flying vehicles are highly dependent on trailing arrow, which makes me think maybe we need to be in the air and not on the ground. All right, so here's what we do. We are going to create a gimbal-based vehicle using the diving bell. I'm trying to find like a good symmetrical seat. So diving bell, and how is the bottom aerodynamics of it? All right, it seems like it's the same all around. Let's see, gimbal thruster. Gimbal thruster, gimbal thruster, gimbal thruster. Where's the gimbal thruster? There's the gimbal thruster. All right, I'll just get 2 gimbal thrusters in here. And then we will put some very bad aerodynamics on this thing, which should keep us on like a good trajectory. Is this good? This is good. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, I'm going to attach more gimbal thrusters because more gimbal thrusters will just allow me to get up into position better, quicker. All right, so we go up, and if I let go and we go down, do we go down stable? Looks like, you know what? We can also add gyro stabilizers to guarantee that we stay upright. All right, there we go. We got some gyro stabilizers. Okay, so what is our current terminal velocity? Let's go ahead and fall. All right, we're going down now. I'm hoping we reach terminal velocity before we hit the ground. 193, 194. We weren't quite there, I guess. Oh, you know what? I actually need to add these before we do this, or before we get our readings. We need these blocks on here because this is going to be our actual weight, or an accurate final weight, because these are the same weight as the wedge blocks that we will be replacing them with. So we're just going to have a bunch right there. There we go. All right, I'm way high up in the air now. We've got no trailing arrow. I mean, we got yellow arrows, essentially. But if this isn't like a controlled test, I don't know what is. So we're a lot heavier than we were, so we're going to be a little bit faster. All right, 202. Are we going to break 202? We're pretty steady at 202. Yep, I think 202 is our terminal velocity, but we need to do more than one test. Let me actually respawn just to make sure the resetting the creation isn't like changing how it functions. There we go. Oh, we're going quick up to 200, but we slow down pretty quick too. Look at that. 200, 201, 202. I was worried there that we were going to get a different result. It really slows down at the 20, like as it approaches pretty quick. All right, 202. I'm going to do one more test. If we can get 3 identical results, I'll feel pretty confident that this is a good reading. All right, test number 3, 201, 202. And it seems pretty stable. All right, I'm confident calling it there. 202. So I'm going to replace every single one of these with trailing arrow 4x1 wedges. So let me just confirm. Our mass, our weight is 263.8. Our hitbox is going to remain identical because they take up the same amount of space. All right, there we go. 263.8. I also made sure to keep myself symmetrical. So if this goes faster through the air than 202 kilometers an hour, that's interesting. Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. All right, we're slowing down and we are now falling. Oh, it's slowing down. 200, 201, 202. This is the most convincing test for me that I've done, that trailing arrow is actually not a thing in the air. I'm trying to think of any way there could be another variable I'm not accounting for. But we've got mass, we've got center of mass, we've got our area is also the same as far as the hitbox goes. Like everything was the same between those two vehicles, except for the trailing arrow, which we have that one there. And then you got this there. So you can clearly see if this side mattered, if this actually mattered, we should have gotten 2 different results there. So what do you guys think now? I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments that can come up with something I should have done, but I don't know. We've done a land test and we did an air test, and they both got identical results between these 2 types of arrow factors. So I think I am now convinced trailing arrow only matters underwater. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Hopefully I can lay this series to rest. This very short-lived series of testing one particular function of Trailmakers. But it was fun. I like going in the test map and just testing how the game works for myself. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.